conducted today. And it's not a new thing that Sara Pariksha is part of the Dashavidya Pariksha. And although the Dashavidya Pariksha comes in the context of Dashavidya Atura Pariksha, but nevertheless, it is applied in Swastha and Atur both. So, the Dashavidya Pariksha, it starts with the Prakriti and then comes Vikriti in between, and then the Sara, Samhanana, Sattva, etc. comes. So, what I mean to say is, when we go through the Lakshanas of Sara Pariksha, or the different Ashtavidya Sara Lakshanas, when we go through, we can see that some of or most of or all the symptoms, they are one or the other way included in one or the other prakritis. So, Sara Pariksha is nothing but just the paraphilia of the Prakriti Parikshan, and how this can be modified because of Vikriti, and maybe it may be made more robust with certain rasayan sevanas, maybe some aushadas, or maybe the ahara vihara aushada, even the achar may also make changes in the Sara Pariksha. So with this, having said this, let us start with the Sara Pariksha. And as I have been told that most of the audience over here are the teachers, so uh, I hope I'm visible. Yeah, yeah, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Visible, ma'am.
So,
Ma'am, visible.
Visible, ma'am.
so when we teach Sara Pariksha to the students, prior to that, we should also be very much aware, and we must be very much confirmed and convinced that they have the prior knowledge of Dhatu, and what are the attributes or what are the functions of dhatus, the physiological and pathological state of each and every dhatu. That's their vriddhi, kshaya, prakruta karma, the sreshta karma like pridana, jivana, lepan. That those things has to be clear in the mind of the students first, or these in other words should be the prior classes, and then the Sara Pariksha has to be taught. What happens generally for the teachers in almost all the colleges, that we distribute the syllabus, and some topics are given to one teacher while the other comes to the other teacher. So it has to be a the vertical collaboration also, that these topics has to be taught by maybe yourself or the other teacher first, and then the Sara Pariksha. Even the Prakriti also has to be taught first, and then the Sara Pariksha. Agni and its role in formation of Dhatu has to be very clearly first taught to the student, because ultimately, although there are no direct references that how the Sara Pariksha, how the Dhatu Sara are formed, but naturally, when the Dhatus are formed, similarly, by simultaneously, the Sara of that particular Dhatu is formed. So, as the Dhatu are formed by the Dhatvagnis, so the Sara also is also related, at least associated with the proper functioning of the Agnis. And they should also have the basic knowledge of the examination of the patient from the darshana, sparshana, prashnehi point of view, and physical and psychological aspects as well. So the learning objectives and significance of this topic, as we all have been very much familiar with the medical educational training, because we train the students, we train rather the doctors in three domains mainly. That's the knowledge, skill, and affective domain. So as far as the Sara Parikshana is concerned, what knowledge they should have, what skill they should have, and what this affective domain they should have has been depicted on your slides in front of you. So in as far as the knowledge domain is concerned, they should have the idea to express and recall the shlokas of the Sara Lakshanas, Ashtavidya Sara Lakshanas. They should be able to explain the importance of those verses. They should be able to comprehend it, apply it for the diagnosis, prognosis, and therapeutics as well. assess them in these lakshanas in patients, in the swastha. They should be able to do the scoring for individual SAR and all 8 SAR at one time assessment, and they should also have the knowledge about the relationship of dosha prakriti and Sara and the anubandha of desha kala ritu age agni etc. They should be able to have the appreciable knowledge for the validated tools, softwares, questionnaires for the Sara Pariksha, if at all prevailing. And they should also have the relevance of Deshakala, Ritu, Vaya, Ahar, etc. in context of Sara. So these are the knowledge domains. In the skill domains, they should they should be able to synthesize the classical features in modern concept of tissue banks. They should be able to design new research avenues. They should be able to make presentations and discussion. They should be able to design the questionnaires, make charts. And after the observation of the assessment in by the teacher, they should, and demonstration by the teacher, they should also able to perform. And in the affective domain, they should be able to create an awareness in general public. And they should be able to explain and assess the public on role of SAR in career guidance, and on how the diet and lifestyle modification may be made based on the SARA Pariksha. Because today's student is very much goal oriented, need oriented. So that's why, first of all, the need and importance and the objective of the SARA Pariksha may be made clear to them, and then the theoretical aspect should be explain to them that what's the need. So Sara Pariksha is an essential part of the examination. That's why where we started, that it is part of the Dashavidha Pariksha, applicable in patient as well as in the swastha. And the presence and absence of the Sara Lakshanas rather, it decides the susceptibility or proneness of an individual for developing and the progression, the prognosis, and even deciding the therapeutics for the particular set of disease. Like, say, for example, if a person is of Medasar, then there are very less chances that that particular person, he or she is more susceptible, or rather, in other words, if I say, they are more immune to a set of Meda Pradoshaj diseases, and there are very less chance that Meda Pradoshaj vyadhis occur into those persons. So this is the importance of knowing it. It's important because the external appearance many times are misleading and misguiding to the doctor, and that's what the Pipilika Bharaharanvata Siddhi has been quoted by Acharya Charak and Chakrapani. While citing its importance, they say that Bala Pramana, because the Dashavidya Pariksha, the Prayojan of Dashavidya Pariksha is for knowing the Pramana of the Bala also. So Sara, especially Sara out of the Dashavid, they give the direct reflection of Bala, how much Bal. So Pipalika is an ant which is very minute. It looks so lean and thin, but still it is able to carry a large amount of weight. Rather, it's double or 10 times the weight of its own. But an elephant who looks so stout, so the elephant cannot carry even the double its weight. So Sharira Matra Darshana Deva Bishak Muhiyet. Upachitatvad Balvan, I am Alpabala Krushatvad, Mahabalo, I am Mahashariratvad. This does not happen all the times. A stout person who looks healthy and hefty may not be always fit and immune, but a thin person may be more immune, or maybe more sturdy and strong compared to the stout person. So the external or the morphological appearance may be misguiding. So this also is one of the important aspect why we should give emphasis to the Sara Pariksha, which unfortunately is forgotten these days in the OPD or IPD anywhere. So the practical utilization of this concept may be like for the heen and madhyama sara, various set of rasayanas may be planned, may be advised, may be researched upon, which is specific to that particular dhatu, which improves the quality of that particular dhatu. Suppose if I give a particular set of rasayana acting on Mansa dhatu, and I can see that the Mansasara lakshanas, if they increase, or the person is now less prone to the diseases of Mansa dhatu, then this will be the the practical benefit out of this concept, as the famous scientist Louis Pasteur, on his dying bed, who has worked throughout his life on this bacteria and virus and all these things, he says that germ is nothing but the terrain is everything. So the kitanu or this germs like the bacteria, virus, they can do nothing if the kshetra is powerful. So knowing Dhatusar, knowing the Ashtavidya Sar, and designing certain rasayanas for each of the Sara, that in other words, making the kshetra powerful, will serve the practical purpose of chikitsa or the Dhatusam. So what is Sarata? Sara Shabdena Vishuddhataro Dhaturuchyate. So there's three categories rather. We are when we study the Dhatu Sara, when we are studying the Ashtavidya Sara, we are in the middle. So one is the Dhatu, then the Vishuddhatara Dhatu, and Vishuddhatama Dhatu is also there, which we may consider as Ojha. So the Dhatus are, if they are properly formed simultaneously, when the Dhatus are formed, a very robust or very essence part of it is also formed, which is the Sar. So Vishuddhataro Dhatu is Sara. According to Acharya Chakrapani, Sar is defined as Vishuddhatara, or most pure form of any dhatu. So in real sense, it is the essence or excellence part in form of the super quality of that dhatu. Not talking about quantity, but the qualitative, gunataha, it is more robust. It's not the vruddhi. Vruddhi is pathology. So it is one of the dasha pariksha mentioned in Charak Samhita, and Sara Pariksha is very specific, which constitutes the examination of bal of body with reference to dhatu. Prakriti is in reference to dosha, which is very subtle. Dhatu is a little, gross compared to dosha. So we can easily understand it, easily assess it. And there is one more peculiarity about Sara Pariksha or the Sara in comparison to Prakriti. That Prakriti is, as we all know, that ye ajanma maranantara kala bhavini, it does not change. So what cannot change? How can we treat that? But Sara is such a entity which can be modified, which gets modified because of the disease, and with the help of rasayanas, with the help of ahar, vihar, aushad, achar, it can be brought back, or if it can be brought back to the dhatu samyavastha. And if it's in the healthy person, if we keep giving such rasayanas, then even that particular dhatu quality can be made more robust. So that is what Sara Pariksha's practical application is all about. So Sara Pariksha, it deals with the examination of 7 dhatu plus mana. These 7 dhatus are, as we have very conveniently understood them, as the more structural than functional tissue units of the body. Coming to the etymology of the word Sara, Sara is derived from the root word shru, and shru means gato and stire. And by adding dhana pratyaya, there are, and different upasargas, there are 3 plethoras of understanding this word Sara. Like one is in context of vyadi, like ati sara, ati sarati iti ati saram. There also the word Sara comes. Matsya is also called as Vissara, like, because Vividam Jale Sarati iti Vissaram. And this one more context in Bala, Sarayati, Cheshtayati, Balavana eva hi Cheshtate. So, Sarayati means Balavan. So, in context of Rogi Pariksha, the most appropriate meaning out of the three is the Bal. When we look into the contextual reconnaissance of these words Sara in different references, we can see different things like Chakrapani states, as we already discussed, Sara Shabdena Vishuddhataro Dhaturuchyate. In Sushruta Samhita and Bhav Prakash, Sara is considered as the minute or the soup. Nutrient part of the ingested food, like samyak pakvasya bhuktasya saro nigadito rasaha satu drava shita swadu snigdha chalo bhavet. That's what Bhav Prakash says. So here the word saro is also has been used, and this word sara is indicative of the minute and nutrient part of the ingested food. This another reference from Sushruta Samhita, tatra panchbhautikasya vinshati gunasya dvividha viryasya samyak parinitasya yas tejo bhutah sarah param sukshma sa rasa iti uchyate. So here rasa is considered as a sara, that's the ahara rasa, because it is param sukshma. So the minute, the subtle thing, that which enters and that which is pervading in each and every tissue, that may be understood as Sara. So, and Vruddha Vagbhat opines that Sara is Shukradhatu, saying that Kayasya Teja Param hi Shukram Ahara Saradapi Sarabhutam. Here, the word Saradapi Sarabhutam has been used for Shukra. So, in this context, Shukra has been considered as Sar. My slides are visible, anyways? Yeah. Slides are changing also on your screen. Dr. Rashi?
Yes, ma'am.
जी मैम जी
Yes,
मैम
ma'am.
Ji. Okay, fine,
Hmm.
fine. Uh, so, from the dictionary of Sir Monier Williams, different meanings of Sara has been said, like essence or essential, valuable, precious, excellent, etc. So, from all this, comprehending this all views, Sara may be defined as essence and excellence part of Dhatu, quantitatively as well as qualitatively. More about qualitatively, it's produced eventually after digestion, rendering it very subtle but still stable. As we have seen, that's Thiro. Shru Dhatu has meaning sthiro. So it's stable. So it provides strength and stability to the body. Thus, the best suited meaning is Bala, Sthiransha, Uttamansha. So it can also be stated in English as power, strength, vigor, energy, immunity, as we are very used to these words. So, from various signs and symptoms of Dhatusara, the classification, if we see that for each of the Sara Lakshanas, physiological, psycho-intellectual attributes, and lastly, some positive outcome has been furnished. So, this is the way they describe each of the Sara of the Ashtavidya Sara. So, based on this, we can classify the dhatu into on basis of bal of the particular dhatu and on the basis of gradation due to, so this, the first is on as shown in the classical text Charaka Samhita. It starts with Twaksar and it goes up to Satvasar, and later on Sarvasar also has been said. So Shruta Samhita, it starts with Satvasar and it goes in a reverse order, and it ends with Twaksar, Ashtanga Sangra, and Ashtanga Hruday follows closely with Charaka Samhita. Kashyapa Samhita has also followed Charaka Samhita, but it has added one more thing, that is Ojasar, which is very much very much similar to the Sarvasar of Charaka Samhita. And Bruhat Samhita of Varaha Mihir, myself also, when I was reading and preparing for the PhD thesis of mine on Sara Pariksha, was very much surprised that a text on Jyotisha Shastra has also written in detail about different Sara. So that was one of the classification. And on the basis of gradation, this also has been told in Samhita's Sarvasar, Madhyamsar, Avarsar. Now, how to understand Sarvasar? Sarvasar may be understood as those having essence of all the dhatus and sattva in optimum. Madhyamsar, those having essence of all the dhatus and sattva in moderate. And our, those having in minimal amount. This is one of the explanation. Another explanation is Sarvasar is interpreted as those having all 8 kinds of sar. Madhyam is those having in between 1 to 7, and Avar is those possessing no sar at all. It is not Avar, it is rather a sara has been considered over here. So this is the Dhatu Sarata classification, and this one more probable explanation for the classification which my Guruji used to give me, that from the symptoms of Dhatu Sara, it's evident that, as we have seen, that there are certain physical characters, certain psychological characters, and there are certain psycho-intellectual characters, or as what I have told you as the positive outcome in total. So if there's absence of psychological or intellectual, and or in other words there's only presence of physical characters, this may be termed as avarsa. If there's presence of physical and psychological, it may be termed as madhyamsa. And if there's presence of physical, psychological and spiritual, or the intellectual, because buddhi is also the guna of atma, so that may be understood as pravarsartha, or this is also one of the probable classification which we can gradation, rather not classification. So now coming to the characteristic features of different saras, let us start with the Tvaksar, the first, which is also to be understood as Rasasar, but surprisingly they don't call it, Charaka Samhita doesn't call it Rasasar, it is termed as Tvaksar. So Tvaksar is Tatra Snigdas Lakshana Mrudu Prasanna Sukshma Alpa Gambira Sukumara Loma Saprabheva Tvaksharanam Satarata Sukha Saubhagya Aishwarya Upabhoga Buddhi Vidya Arogya Praharshanani Ayushyatvam Chachaste. So the first line of all these shlokas, it gives, especially of the Dhatu Sara shlokas, it gives the explanation of the physical characters, and the second line you may divide it into the psychological characters and the intellectual or the positive outcome. So here they, in the Tvaksar, only one lakshana of Tvak has been given, Saprabha eva Chatva. All the other lakshanas are of the loma, the body hairs. So why such things are there? Addition to those lakshanas, Acharya Kashyap describes the characters of Tvaksar as having absence of skin disease, Tvagrog Rahito, and showing rapid healing of the wounds, Sadhya Kshata Praroha Sutanuruha. So if a person is of Tvaksar, the Kshata or Vrana is very rapid healing. It shows rapid healing, and at all they have absence of skin disease. They are very immune to the Tvak rogaha. That's why they are Tvaksara. So this indicates a positive relationship between Sara and resistance, that what we were discussing earlier. When a person belonging to a particular SAR is less susceptible or less prone to disease, at least of that particular dhatu. So most of the symptoms of Tvaksar are pertaining to the lom. When they label it as Tvaksar, they should give more symptoms about Tvak, but that's not seen. More symptoms of lom, body hairs have been given. So why such an peculiar explanation is there on Twaksar? The reason, when I was studying this, I saw a book on burns, जो दग्ध होता है, burns की जो category है, उसमें जो severity of the burns जो है, they decide based on the intactness of the hairs, the hairs of the body. If the and also the hairs are considered as the accessory organ of skin, so that way also it is justified that the Twaksar Lakshanas have more description of the body hairs. So as long as the hairs are intact, severely burned or injured dermis can regenerate. So in the burns, they see if the hairs are intact, this skin will regenerate, and such kind of burns, even if it's a severe, may not be actually termed as severe, and they may be susadya, or they have good prognosis, in other words. So this may be the reason why characteristic of Twaksar comprises of characteristics of Loma more, even more than Twak. Then coming to Raktasar, Karnakshi Mukh Jihva Nasa Oshta Pani Padatala Naklalat Mehanam Snigdha Raktavarnam. See, be careful, it's not only Raktavarna, it has to be Snigdha Raktavarna. Otherwise, the foreigners, all foreigners, we may see them as having Raktasara. No, they tan their skin and make it more red, but that redness is not having the dazzling appearance of Snigdhata. It is rather Ruksha Raktavarna. So they are all considered, or may not be considered as Raktasar. You have to be also considering the Snigdha Raktavarna, Srimad Brajeshunu, dazzling appearance. They are Raktasaranam. Sasarata Sukamudhatam Medham Manasvidam Saukumaryam Anatiballam Aklesha Sahishnutvam Ushna Asahishnutvam cha Achaste. So here also classifying the characteristics into physical, psycho-intellectual, and the positive outcome in general at the end has been, you can do that. So if we analyze and study the symptoms of Raktasar, we are revealed that a particular set of organs only have been mentioned, like eyes, ears, tongue, nails, etc. And the question arises, why only these organs are specifically mentioned? The reason is these organs have superficial and abundant vascularization. Even today in practice, it is the Raktakshaya, like Pandu or anemia, is observed in eyes. When a person says that the hemoglobin is less, or feeling of weakness, and you suspect of having less hemoglobin, you see the pallor in the eyes, on the nails, on the tongue. So same set of organs even are in routine practice for assessing the pathology of Rakta, even in today's practice. So, and now the question is, why it has to be Snigdha Rakta Varna, why it has to be dazzling or shining? Because when it is in the book of physiology, I read somewhere that when the blood is well oxygenated, the blood pigment Hb is bright red, making the skin appear pinkish. And on the other hand, when the blood oxygen concentration is low, Hb is dark red and the skin appears bluish, and even there is Rukshata appearing. So this indicates that Raktasara persons, maybe most of the hemoglobin capacity to carry oxygen is even more in comparison to the other persons not having Raktasarata. So apart from the Raktasar Lakshanas mentioned over here, the symptoms of Vishuddha Rakta Purusha mentioned in Vidishonita Adhyaya must also be considered to assess the Raktasarata. Another symptoms are discussed over here, like why they are Ushna Asahishnu, why they are, because it is also observed that most of the Raktasara persons, majority of them and most of the times, are of Pitta Prakriti, and this bright red color of skin also appears due to the dilated blood vessels of the dermis. And when the blood vessels are dilated, naturally the temperature of the skin also increases, and that's how the Ushna asahishnata, intolerance towards heat, mentioned as the Raktasara Lakshana, is also supported. And the Sukumarta of the Pitta Prakriti, in Pitta Prakriti Lakshana also, the Sukumara Avadata Gatraha has been mentioned. So here also in Raktasara, it is Sukumara has been mentioned. So as I told you that most majority of the times the Raksar persons are of Pitta Prakriti. So they are Klesha Sahishnu as well as Sukumar. Maunsasarata Shankalalata Krukatika Akshiganda Hanugriva Skanda Udara Kaksha Vaksha Pani Pada Sandayaha Stira Guru Shubha Maunsopachita Maunsasaranam Sasarata Kshamam Dhruti Malolyam Vittam Vidyam Sukham Marjavam Arogyam Balam Ayushchatirgam Achaste. Again, characters have been are rearranged into physical, psycho-intellectual, and positive outcome in general has been shown over here on your slides, and that's just the translation of the shloka. Only it has been reorganized. What we need to discuss and understand is the main physical feature. If we look into the or this shloka again, then what is striking over here is Stira Guru Shubha Mansopachitaha. It has not only to be Guru, but it has to be, stable. Stira also. That has to be seen on particular set of organs again. And why those set of organs, we'll see in the next slide. But over here, Sthirata and Guruta, let us also again be reminded that is the denoting the dominance of the Prithvi Mahabhut, Ambu and Tej Mahabhut in Maunsa, which provides stability, and because of that, the Kshama, forgiveness, is the quality seen as the psychological characteristics of such individuals. And Sthirata of Udara Vaksha is a differentiating tool of obesity as well. Here the muscle mass has to be seen and not the obesity, and that's how in the Stula Purusha it is written as the pendulous. It is a chalas figure, Sthana Udara, and not the Guru Shubha Mansopachita. Well covered, Sthira has to be seen. When I was working in my PhD on Sara Pariksha, I came across a very good book entitled Diagnosis of Health in the library of IPGT and Dare, which is now called as ITRA Jamnagar. The diagnosis of health. Although Ayurveda has a very robust definition of swasthya, but in modern parlance, we don't have any how to diagnose that a person is healthy. They have lots and lots of laboratory parameters to diagnose whether the person is unhealthy. To label a person unhealthy, they have the parameters. But to label a person healthy, they do not have any diagnosis. So in this book, they have mentioned probable certain things may be made use of for the diagnosis of health. And that's how this book was very, fascinating for me. So in that book, it was mentioned that muscles of good tone, fleshy and firm, it suggests the health again. So as my topic, my title for the presentation today's class was, this is the positive outcome of health or the of the wellness. So muscle may also be one of the reflection where we can diagnose health. Further in the same book, it mentions that this sign is also valuable in determining disturbances of nutrition in overweight individuals. Differentiate how the person is overweight or is diagnosed for health. So for that also, the firmness of the body tissue is the marked sign of health. So the sequence and set of organs in the description of Maunsasara also is very specific. It starts with head, the neck, then trunk, and then the upper and lower limbs. The description is very, very resembling the modern text description, where it starts with the skeletal muscle description starts with the facial muscles, then the mastication muscles, then the head and vertebral column muscles, and then the pectoral girdle, abdominal wall, arms, forearm, hand, thighs, legs, and foot. The same sequence like Shanka, Lalat, Krukatika, Akshi, Ganda, Hanugriv. The same pattern you can see in BD Chorasi also. So that's how the description of this Mansasar is one by one. Is also the sequence is also very very apt. Moreover, in the description of Mansasar in the shloka, they also have mentioned about joints. So the joints also have to be, Panipada Sandayah. They also mention here the Sandaya Stira Guru Shubha Mansopachitaha. So why the Sandaya, the joints are mentioned over here? Because the skeletal muscles, they have their insertion or the origin on one or other of the joints or maybe the bones, but at least they crisscross at one or the other joints, because the common function of the joints and muscle is to make movement. मेधसारता वर्णस्वर नेत्रकेश लोम नक दंत औष्टमूत्र पुरुषेषु विशेषतः स्नेहो मेधसारणां सा सारता वित्तैश्वर्य सुखोपभोग प्रदानानि आर्जवम सुकुमारोपचारतां च आचष्टे. So here also again you can classify them into physical characters, psycho-intellectual and positive outcome of the total. So Medasara Purush is identified by Visheshatah Sneha, and that Sneha has to be in the Swara, Varna, Nakha, Oshta, Mutra Purisha, Kesha, etc. So chemically, Meda Dhatu is composed of lipids, as we all know, and hence it results into Snigdhata. The best function, the Sreshta Karma of the Dhatus, when they mention Priyanam, Jivanam, Lepanam, Snehanam. So Snehanam is the best function of Meda Dhatu, and that's how all these entities, Kesha, Loma, Nakha, Oshta, where the sebaceous glands are abundantly present, we will be surprised to know that even the hair follicles are kept pliable and unctuous because of the presence of the sebaceous glands at the root of the hair follicles. So that's why even while mentioning the lakshanas of Medasar, they write even the Kesha Loma as Visheshatah Snehavan. Right? So I'm going it a little faster. Even the unctuousness of eyes is because of the presence of the sebaceous glands. Why I'm emphasizing on sebaceous glands? Because the secretion of the sebaceous gland is a lipid matter. So a lipid material. So that's how the sneha, the meda, the lipids, these all can be associated and can be understood. Right? One more thing, what is interestingly to be noted over here is Medasarada is not obesity. Not a single symptom, lakshana of Medasar has been mentioned as Stula Shari, I mean Stulata, although Sushrut mentions Bruhat Sharir, but it is not that the Medasara is obese and vice versa, obese are always Medasar. Rather, I would say that Medasar person can never be obese. As we all have seen in previous slides and previous discussion, that when I say that one person is of one particular Dhatusar, he is I mean immune to at least that set of diseases which is fixed to that Dhatu. Right. So obesity is a disease of Meda Dhatu and it can never occur in Meda Sara person. So that's how we can say that Vruddhi, Dhatu Vruddhi is different and Dhatu Sara is different. Dhatu Vruddhi is pathological, whereas Dhatu Sara is a positive health and its outcome which even pervades till the psychological domains. Like every Sara has been, we have seen that we rearrange into physical, psycho-intellectual and positive outcomes in general. Now at this instance, we should also remember two kinds of cholesterol. One is the good one and one is the bad one. So the bad one, if it increases, then it leads to disease and that's Medavruddhi. Whereas the HDL, which is a good cholesterol, which is beneficial and its quantity should be higher, that may be an objective parameter for assessing the Medasar. Yeah. Coming to Astisarata, Pashani Gulfa, Janu Aratni, Jatruchibuka, Shiraha, Parvastulaha, Stulasti, Nakadantashcha Astisara, Te Mahotsaha, Kriyavanda Kleshasaha, Sara Stira Sharira, Bhavandi Ayush Mantascha. Again, rearranging those characters into physical, psycho, intellectual, and positive outcome in total has been done over here. Here also peculiar characteristic of this Sara is Parvastulaha. They first mention about the joints. And which joints? Pashani, Gulfa, Janu, Aratni, Jatru, Chibuka, Shiraha, Parvaha. And those Parvaha has to be stul. Anthropometrically, Astisara stool asti has been mentioned later on over here, but first they mention about the joints. The joints has to be stula, so the anthropometry of the joints has to be performed first, along with the stula asti, also considering nakha, danta, etc. And why so? Because joints, see, the specific joints mentioned over here are the weight bearing joints, and joints are the functional junctions between the bones. So if the bones are strong, joints also become strong and robust. So if you want to, at times, if you want to examine bones, you need to examine the joints as well. This is what the relationship between joints and bones is there. Moreover, we can say that the nails and teeth are also mentioned, yeah, and these are also sometimes considered by some acharyas as the upadatus, some consider as the like teeth is considered as ruchakasti, a type of asti itself. So teeth also has been mentioned over here. Nails are, nakha is considered as the mala of that particular dhatu, the asti dhatu. So also the it is considered under the characteristics of astisara. And the chemical composition of asti, nakha, and danta are all having calcium. So that's how also this relationship is justified. Apart from that, the robustness of bones indicates the capacity of physical exertion. And that's how the mahotsaha, I was trying to explain the mahotsaha, kleshasaha. And kleshasaha or kriyavanta is also symptom of astisa. So kriyavanta, when the more kriya is done, more and more exercise is done or exertion is done, even in when this the deformities of bones, or when this there is some this it is fracture of bones also, or when this dislocation of the joints and all, the traction is given, or this physiotherapy is done, where the physical exertion causing the bone growth in conditions like achondroplasia, this exertion is given. So kriyavanta, making the kriyavanta, physical exertion, it increases the bone growth. So that's how kriyavanta and astisara is also the association may be understood like that. Majjasarata mruduvanga balavanda snigdhavarna swaraha stula dirgha vrutta sandayascha. Again over here the sandhis are mentioned. Stula stula dirgha vrutta sandhi has to be seen for majjasa. Why? For assessing majja, why the sandhis has to be seen? Apart from that, varnaswaras and mruduvanga, although these people are mruduvanga, because majja is chemically again a lipid, which is a soft tissue, and that's make it more pliable, more soft, and that's why they are, even though they are mruduvanga, but still they are balavanda, because fat, as we all know, has a higher the calorie of energy in compared to the other carbohydrates, proteins, etc. So balavanta, they are mruduvanga, balavanta. But this snigdha varnaswara, you may also note one thing, that snigdha varnaswara is a common characteristic which is seen 3 times in the maybe more than that in this description of the Ashtavidyasar. First it is seen in Medasar, again it is seen in Majjasar, again it will be seen in Shukrasar. So basically these 3 dhatus, even Rasa, these 3 dhatus, specifically are snigdha in guna, and that's why it is visheshatah snigdha seen in Vedasar, but still in Majjasar also these characters, and in Shukrasar again prasanna snigdha varna swaraha will be again seen in Shukrasar also. So anyways, now Stula Dirgha Vrutta Sandhayascha. Why Sandhis are considered under the Majjasar? This slide says the rearranging the characteristic into again the three headings. And the rest of the things I have already said, Mridunga, Balavanta, Snigdha Varnaswara, etc. What I was talking about is the Sandhayaha. Why Sandhis are mentioned over here? Because Majjas are encapsulated inside the bones, and when they want to express itself, when the Majja Dhatu want to express itself, it has to ooze out of the bones, and as soon as it oozes out of the bone, oozes out of the bone, what is there in between two bones? There is a joint. So immediately the Majja is reflected at joint. Even in Majja Pradoshaja Vikar, the symptoms are Ruk Parvanam, Arunshanam, Stula Mulanam, Parvajanam, Parvaiti joints, Ruk Parvanam, Parvaiti again joint. So there is pain in joint. So in Majja Pradosh, even in the pathology of Majja, there is involvement of joints. And over here, when there is positive health of Majja, when you want to see, you have to consider the joints also. Yeah. Shukra Sarada. Saumyaha Saumya Prekshinaha Kshirapurna Lochana Iva Prahasha Bahula Snigdha Vritta Sarasam Samvata Shikhara Dashanaha Prasanna Snigdha Varna Swaraha. See, as I was telling you again, here the Snigdha Varna Swaraha, Prasanna Snigdha Varna Swaraha has been told in Shukrasar also, has been told in Majjasar also, has been told in Medasar also. Brajishnavo Mahasvichascha Shukrasaraha. So this thing I already discussed, as these three tissues are Snigdha in nature, and that's why they should be they have been given this symptom. And then let us discuss the other symptoms like Saumyaha, Saumya Prekshinaha. Why it is said so. Shukra Dhatu is considered as Saumya, and that's why specifically in the male reproductive organs are kept outside the body to maintain its Saumyata. However, let us remember over here that Shukra word, in as far as over here the Shukra Sarata context is concerned, we have to take it in a broader sense where the Shukra is the reproductive capacity. So this way the Shukra is present in all genders, including Stree. So that broad aspect of Shukra has to be understood. So even a female candidate may be Shukra Sara person. So having said that, we should also consider other aspect of Shukra as Shukradhara Kala having said to be present throughout the body, and Charak says that Shukra is Sarva Shariragata present. So the every cell has the capacity to reproduce. That aspect should also be kept in mind, and that's how Shukradhara Kala is said to be present throughout the body. So moreover, if we consider the hormonal secretions of the testis and ovary, the hormonal secretion, it circulates throughout the body, giving the secondary sexual characteristics like in puberty, this development of pelvis. So the Mahasvichascha in puberty, as soon as the menarche starts, or when this secretion, the hormonal secretions from the testis and ovary starts, this deposition of fat, adipose tissues on the buttocks, thighs, etc. of the male and female, the pelvis is differentiated now, and that's what the Mahasvichasta character can be understood as. Another thing is even the swaraha, this change in the voice characteristic of the male and female under the influence of the hormones secreted by this reproductive organs, and that's also why the swara is one of the characteristic considered over here. Even the eyes, the development of eyes is also affected by the secretions of these things. That's what the is a matter of research. And even I was surprised when I go through this symptoms, dashana, uh, teeth. Simply the assessment and alignment of teeth tells you the shukrasara, I mean, tells you about the status of the this shukra in a body. So even some of the teeth, like the wisdom teeth, is under the influence of the puberty or of under the influence of the hormones secreted. So these are the things which I was talking about. In nutshell, I have explained all these things, why particular symptoms have been said, like the snigdha varna, snigdha swara, mahasvika, then kshirapurna lochana, eyes, praharsha bahula, because the androgens which circulates, or the testosterone which circulates, which is also present in female body, which is responsible for the harsha. Praharsha is a karma of Shukrada. The sexual behavior, always staying enthusiastic because of androgens. These are also the characteristic, like Praharsha Bahula. Then the teeth I was talking about, the Snigdha Vrutta Sara Samasauhata Shikhara Dashana. Again, in the book Diagnosis of Health, they say that even just by examining the teeth and its alignment, if it's sound, regular, and set in well developed jaws with good approximation, that is suggestive of good health. So, see what our acharyas have described in terms of the Dhatusara, going beyond Sattvasara, is the characteristic of health. Then coming to Sattvasara, Smriti Mando, Bhakti Manda, Krutagya Pragya, Shuchayo, Mahotsaha, Dakshadhira, Samara Vikranda Yodinas, Tyakta Vishada, Suvyavastita Gati Gambira Buddhi Cheshta, Kalyana Viniveshinascha, Sattvasara. So, physical attributes are very less, only one. Apparently, this could be considered as Suvyavastita Gati, can be considered as the physical attribute, but still, when we read in detail, we'll come to know that even this Suvyavastita Gati is if we examine the gait reflexes for the when there's some or the other degeneration of brain, the motor reflexes or the walking gait, there are different kinds of gait mentioned for the neurodegeneration. So if we consider the brain as the mana and sattva and all, that is what we are used to, then that physical attribute may also be again characters. I mean, you can take it to the psycho intellectual characters, but otherwise gati is as such physical. Then so I was trying to tell you that most of the characteristics are psycho intellectual characters only. So if you categorize these characteristics into the functions of nervous system, the function of nervous system can be basically classified into sensory, integrative, and motor. So there are certain, if you see the characters of the Sattvasara, you can categorize these also into sensory functions, like the Smriti Mando it specifies the storage and retention of the information function of nervous system. Bhakti Manda, Krutagya Pragya Daksha, Dhira, Tyakta Vishada, Gambhira Buddhi, Kalyana Biniveshinascha suggests the optimum functioning of the integrative analyzing capacity of the nervous system. Shuchayo, Mahotsa, Samara Vikranda Yodhina, etc. These indicates the responsive function of the motor function of the nervous system. Coming to the categorizing these Sattvasara characters into the umbrella of headings of the Triguna Sattva Rajan Tam. Sattva Guna is reflected through Smriti Mando, Bhakti Manda, Krutagya Pragya, Shuchayo, Daksha, and Kalyana Biniveshina. Rajaguna is postulated by Mahotsaha, Samara Vikranda Yodhina, Tyakta Vishada, Suvyavastita Gati, and Tamaguna is indicated by Dhira Gambira Buddhi Cheshta. So, in other words, the Sattvasara is a perfect balance of Sattva, Raja, and Tama, three gunas. Sarvasar is also mentioned, which may be understood as the Ojas are mentioned by Acharya Kashyap. Tatra sarvaihi sarairupeeta purusha bhavanti ativala paramasukayukta kleshasaha sarvarembheshu आत्मनि जात प्रत्यय कल्याण विनिवेशिन स्थिर समाहित शरीरा सुसमाहित गतय सानुनाद स्निग्ध गंभीर महास्वरा सुख ऐश्वर्य वित्तोपभोग सम्मान बाजो मंद जरसो मंद विकारा प्राय तुल्य गुण विस्तीर्ण अपत्या उसके बच्चे भी उसके जैसे आएंगे चिरजीवी नश्च. So these are the characteristics of Sarvasar, some physical characters, but more are of psycho-intellectual characters. And Acharya Kashyap has mentioned about Ojasar. Details of Ojasar is not available in Kashyapa Samhita as well. So the Sarvasar mentioned by Acharya Charaka as can be understood as Ojasar because Oja is the extract of all the dhatus. Ojastu tejo dhatunam shukrandanam paramsmrutam. So Sarvasara vis-a-vis positive health, as we are, I think we'll also only discuss this and then we may stop. So positive health, which is the state of positive health, implies the notion of perfect functioning of body and mind. As WHO has also one definition of the health. Then if they have the definition of positive health, then they have the definition of well-being. Then they have the definition and objective components of standards of living. They have the subjective components expressed as quality of life. Many of us are very much familiar with the word quality of life, QOL. We make use of this QOL, BREF QOL criteria of WHO for our research purposes also. But apart from QOL, they have standards of living, well-being, health, positive health. So if we combine all these things, then we'll come to know that the Ashtavidya Lakshanas, they comprises all these things. Like, say for example, in Vitta, Saubhagya, then Pradhanani, the standard of living. Vitta means the standard of living, how much the capacity to, have the income, occupation, what's your standard of housing, sanitation, nutrition. So how much the Danani you do, the charity you do. These things have been mentioned in under standards of living of WHO. So if we see the state of positive health by WHO, we can very much come to a conclusion that the notion of Ashtavidya Sara mentioned by Ayurveda is that positive health or that positive notion which is comprising and comprehending the characters and the components of well-being, standard of living, quality of life, everything, right? So this is the significance of Sara Pariksha. Inherent power of a person cannot be assessed by just by the bulk of the body. So Sara Pariksha comes to your help that you can now easily judge the person in its deepest, meaning. So resistance against a particular group of disease can be assumed and assessed, predicted. Status of dhatu and sattva can be estimated. Physician may not be misguided. A determination of sara of person can also give to his structural, functional as well as metabolic metabolism, because sara is also outcome of agni. So if sara is good, that particular Dhattvagni is also good, and it can be utilized in various fields, like for selecting a particular candidate for a particular job. Going beyond, I also say that developing the tissue banks, we can make use of this concept of Sara. For example, if there are, this is a very new concept of developing tissue banks, like say for example, sperm bank is there. Now, what they do is they preserve the sperm of the donor, whosoever is ready to donate. But for selecting the donor, if we select a donor having a Shukra Sara Lakshana, then that sperm bank will have the robust sperms, that robust tissues, which may then further give a robust progeny further, right? So this way, tissue banks based on the concept of Sara Pariksha of Ayurveda may be developed. So these are certain exercise, identify the SAR. I don't know how many participants are actively listening to me, this blah blah of mine. Uh, so if you are anyone can identify the SARA. So this way, anyways, it's okay. Uh, you can make use of such kind of things for the students to make them identify these Sara. Can say about this Sara, identify this Sara, and this one. This is a video. I don't know if it will play. Is it playing on your screen?
Yes, ma'am, it's working.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
Yes.
Just looking to the way this lady is running, Aishwarya Rai. Can you say which Sara she has? So anyways, it's not for teachers. I know all teachers are very well accomplished in the knowledge. I'm just giving a clue that making the topic interesting, how we can make use of these videos. Can anyone say that which Sara this song is depicting? I know Govinda is not of Shukrasar, but the wording of this song depicts Shukrasar. Once again, tell me which Sara this person possesses. Sthula, Sthula Dantaha specifically is the first impression you get out of it. So Astisara, but it does not have hairs at all. So the Samasamhata Shikara Dashanaha Shukrasara may be the correct answer. This is also very familiar video of मेरी त्वचा से मेरी उम्र का पता नहीं चलता. So this is Twaksar. And can you also hear the voice?
No, ma'am. Voice is not working, I think.
So मेरी आवाज ही मेरी पहचान है. So through this, the swara, snigdha swara, maybe the identification here. See, can ask the student which Sara is absent into this. So here the alignment of the teeth, you can see the alignment is very bad. So at least this lady is not having Shukrasara. Right. So these are some of the things. And further also there are few slides like shall I continue, or if the time does not permit, that's
Ma'am,
okay.
continue for 2 to 5 minutes more.
5
Ma'am,
minutes.
we need to wind off since my office is also going to shut very soon.
Sure. So these are the probable biochemical parameters I have written. What, because there is the era of objectivity is going on. So what probable parameters you can make use of to, apart from the subjective parameters what Shastra has given, don't ignore that subjective parameters, but add on to that, you can make use of these modern parameters for Twaksar, make use of viscometer, glossometer, melanometer, or dermatological biopsies. Also may be made invasive and non-invasive parameters may be understood. So modern parameters, if the blood picture, the total iron binding capacity of the blood, and as the varna, the snigdha rakta varna, Srimad Brajeshnuta can be seen through the melanometer. Mansasara, sorry, the anthropometry of the joints can be seen. Sorry, of the the girth of the muscles can be seen. The ability to perform vyayam can be seen. Treadmill test, etc. For the muscle test, muscle durability, capacity can be. We have done work on this Mamsasar. We have done work on Medasar also. LDL and HDL. This is a very good criteria to assess Medasar, apart from the Visheshatah Snigdha criteria. Then the Astisar, coming to Astisar, we can make use of the blood parameters like the vitamin D, calcium, phosphate, etc. And the even the high technologized parameters like CT scan, BMD, X-rays may be made use of. For Majjasar, all invasive methods only we may have to make use of, and joints, because as we have seen that the Lakshana of Majjasar involves joints, so directly the goniometry can be done, or aspirating the marrow and checking it for its lipid content, and the other contents can be seen. Shukrasar, for that the level of the hormones, FSH, LH, the assessment of the Shukra semen, then morphology of the semen in of the sperm, pH, fructose level, etc. Study of oocytes, polar bodies, USG scan, or the ovulation studies. These are different and very simple non-invasive parameters. Teeth can be made use of, eyes can be made use of. Sattvasara, EAG, and brain waves, the amino acids like GABA, glycine, serotonin, 5-hydroxytryptophan. These neurotransmitters may be made use of for assessment of the objective parameters of this Sattvasar. And to summarize, Sara can be defined as an essence and excellence part of Dhatu, both quantitatively, qualitatively, which is produced eventually after digestion, rendering it very sukshma, subtle, but still stable. Sara provides strength, that's physical strength, mental strength, as well as the immunity against one particular set of disease, and stability to the body. So the best suited meaning of Sara is Bal, Sthiransh, and Uttamamsh. Sara concept is related with the Sattva apart from Dhatu. So apart from the physical characters, at one glance you can have the idea about the psychological characters as well. Sara examination leads to the knowledge of Dhatu, that is the physical tissues as well as mind, right? Sarvasara, there's a way how to classify them, and each Sara has certain psycho-intellectual characteristics. So as we all are teachers, we need to understand that we have to demonstrate these things and let the student reflect on what they learn. And then the famous quotation by Carmen Friesen says that when they reflect on what they learn, then that is the final stage of learning. So whatever I have been able to speak today in front of you all, that's all because of my gurus, and whatever errata still remains is absolutely mine. So with this, Sri Krishna Arpanamastu, thank you so much. And I stop sharing this